God damn, that was delicious. The United States government have shown themselves to be tyrants on every front and every level towards its very own people. On every level, government employees are protected from taking advantage of the most at-risk people in our country. Knowingly, willingly, and intentionally utilizing the media to spread slander and propaganda in order to justify their war crimes against the American people to those who haven't yet experienced it. The more poor you are, the more likely you are to be a target. Once you're targeted, as a poor person, you are the least likely person to be heard. Ooh, this one says, be afraid and do it anyway. My God, that's a good one for me, isn't it? Does that not describe me? Of course I'm fucking afraid. The United States government and terrorist organizations such as the Spokane Police Department and Sheriff's Department, this is absolutely state-sponsored terrorism. 100%. Same as the homeless sweeps in Boulder. Denver is in Colorado. Spokane, Washington. Bainbridge, Washington. Seattle, Washington. Tacoma, Washington. Nationwide, coast to coast. While America steals the American citizens' money to create... Ooh, I found a lighter. You steal our money to create terrorist camps. See, these are not peace officers. These are militants, armed militants, who are given a free pass they get to harm innocent people by slandering their name. If you're poor, the more poor you are, the less rights you have, the less people care, the more likely they are to blow you off and say, here's a fucking sandwich. God bless America, right? Those of you who want to pretend whatever the hell you want to pretend, you're going to do that regardless, aren't you? Of course you are. You want to blame men, you want to blame women, you want to blame blacks, you want to blame whites. Blame yourself, bitch. Divided, you are already fucking conquered. When you end up homeless, after all the evil and mean shit that you've done to homeless people, when you become homeless, you're gonna whine like a mule, and you're gonna thank God that there's a fucking homeless meth head to show you where at least some of the services are so you don't fucking freeze to death. So you got this magic idea in your head about this free vacation that is being homeless. The reality is you are out of your fucking mind and you're pampered. You're lucky. Now, I seriously live right here in the United States. I'm not talking trash about some foreign country I've never been to and don't know what the hell I'm talking about at all. No, I get to see this stuff with my own two eyes. I also understand human nature. You know what's pretty common out here? When I ran into... God damn it. Alright. know what else I found? Found a plunger to a syringe. That's the reality of being in the United States of America today. Right now, I'm worried about somebody's kid potentially stepping on the rest of it. So, I am wandering around looking for the other half of somebody's needle. Now, when I go inside of here, they're already aware. When I ask them if I can have something to clean up these here messes, that is killing me. I want you to take a look at the quantity of money that Oregon is spending for the homeless and for junkies. And then I want you to take a look at how much is actually going to housing. How many of that is actually going to actually helping us out? And how much of it is going to places like TFCC and TCCHC, who don't help us, who run us around in circles, don't listen to a thing that we have to say. And then, of course, we got the United States Air Force. This is military here, building a terrorist camp to train law enforcement to commit more terroristic acts against the American people. No, I'm not going to shut up about this, and I'm not going to listen to some Vietnam veteran screaming in my face about how much I owe him for rights I don't have. I'm not going to listen to a homeless veteran tell me that he deserves to be off the street more than somebody else does just because he served in the military. That's not going to happen. I'm seriously out here. When those military veterans are out here whining that they need something, I'm the one who does what he can to try to get it for them as soon as possible. Because the sooner the better. The sooner you cut the head off the snake, the sooner the snake dies. If there's a problem, you can either let it grow into a massive issue, or you can do something about it right now before it gets out of control. A lot of times, all it takes for you to do that is to admit you screwed up. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you can save lives. Now, this sounds just very generalized, don't it? All right. Well, it ain't. There's a lot of situations I've spoken about on my channel. I was hoping to find a cup or something around here and I can put it in. Just give me a moment on that. How the fuck is it going?
Yeah. And Does that make some cold room? Yep. I'm just gonna let you go to the bathroom and then lay it like halfway through. I'll let Sean hold down the fort. You can have my
There's a fort? Well, that's cool. I didn't even realize you had a Minecraft in here.
I feel like we could train you up to be a pretty good barista.
I don't know about all that. I've been told I'm nuttier than squirrel turds. All right, so you're not going to believe this story here, but I was on my YouTube channel trying to declare war on the city of Spokane and the United States Air Force, and I ran into half of somebody's beetle. So I wanted to see if I could get one of your cups so that I could stuff a couple of napkins in and also a lid put on top of it. That way I can toss it in the garbage can. If you use one of the paper ones, then drug addicts can't see what's in. Somebody sees the half there, they might dig for the other half. All right. I guess we'll take care of business, huh? Plunk. So, how do we accomplish this task? Take the lid off. Put that there. Take L napkin number 1. We stuff it in the bottom. We take L napkin number 2. Double it over so we got as many layers between it and the nastiness as possible. Stuff it in the cup, and then we're going to go throw it away in a garbage can. And then we're going to get back to me telling on tyrants and terrorists. Many Americans have come to realize that police officers all over America are terrorist organizations, and the sheriff's departments are using those departments for their own personal gains. We have made a blameless society where it is nearly impossible for a poor person to defend themselves or protect themselves from, well, rampant police violence. The American people are far too segregated. and they want to blame each other and victim blame, victim shame other victims. That's right. But can you blame them? See, that's how people treat me. Can you blame them for hurting you after the slander people said about you? Yes, I can. I can absolutely blame them for passing judgment without taking a look and without listening to my side. Lots of people talk over me repeatedly and tell me about how they listened. Well, they obviously didn't hear the words coming out of my mouth this time, though, did they? What they have to say is always more important. A lot of people tell me I should look up more often. Well, you know, your kids down there on the ground buy all sorts of stuff that you don't want them putting in their mouths. It's a good thing nasty assholes like me look down and pick this shit up, isn't it? I'm out here on the streets. I get treated like I'm a cop if I don't do drugs, and I'm denied half of the services here. And I'm treated like a junkie if I smoke pot, and I'm denied the other half of the resources here. What the fuck, Chuck? Meanwhile, I have to smoke pot, otherwise I don't fit in with the homeless. You what? Yes, sir, I can see that. You're not gonna have a seizure, are you?
I don't know. Just got out of the hospital.
Jesus. Can you go into the store?
The store? No.
Fuck. Where can you go?
Shell?
Oh, they sell to you?
Yeah.
Alright.
Every morning they do.
Here's what I got. Don't fucking die on us. Yes, sir. Alright, I better go fast find. I got a little over 3/4 tank of gas. I was looking at it earlier, the way that I was parked, it looked like I had a lot more. Yeah, it's my macaroni and cheese money. I'll get some more. So there's a lot of nice people in the United States. There's a lot of people that see your face and they go, that's actually a human. God damn it. It's actually a human being there. Alright, so let's take a look at this. How is the Nub Bogs here in Tillamook, Oregon. Able to afford a ugly orange brand new Ford Mustang. Oh, fuck, everything's snapping and crackling. Got hot. I've been recording on my channel for years. I've been recording the abuse, the murder, the disappointment. Body after body after body piling up. You want to play Operation Distraction. We got Epstein, so we can forget about everything. Oh wait, now Epstein's gonna go away and disappear. We got COVID now, and of course, what do we focus on? Anything but the real issue. Divided we fell. This is not the United States of America. Our government is entirely and fully set up as a Nazi regime. With a capitalist twist. See, the Nazis were after world domination by shooting. The United States figures they'll just do it by ripping everybody off and feeding people the munitions to keep them killing each other. Don't get me wrong, lots of governments do that. British government, French government, Chinese government. But here in the United States, we're gonna have to meet a growing threat as a people. We cannot rely on cops to do their jobs. We cannot rely on cops to protect us or serve us. We can depend on police officers to serve themselves and their own best interests. Sure, maybe 6 SWAT officers will storm a school and go shoot a single gunman real quick. Maybe they'll have a quick response, or maybe they'll stand outside and talk about it. I don't know, man. What are we supposed to do? Well, I don't know. Didn't you watch the video? Yeah, but I wasn't paying any attention. Yeah, neither was I. Thank you very much. The competence of police officers has fallen so much. And the American people's faith in the police has dropped down to, well, among the poor, non-existent. Once in a while, you run into primary beneficiaries that are out here on the street. People who benefit from bad laws, bad interpretations of laws. Oh yeah. And officers who basically change the laws whenever they want. If the victim's male, they're a lot more likely to be talked over. They're also a lot more likely to be the victim. They're also a lot more likely to be the one arrested because of public opinion. However, we have numbers today showing that women are, even in the sexual assault category, yeah, women are our primary sexual predators in the United States. But we're all softened to believe that when we are sexually assaulted by a woman, it's not sexual assault. A woman who has sex with a 14-year-old student here in Tillamook is served 6 hours in jail. 14-year-old boy. I'm having to roll my own cigarettes, so I'm getting some in my mouth and having to spit it out. My most sincere apologies. I hope that doesn't offend you. I already declared war against the United States government and the FBI when I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming on this channel. The reason for that is because, like I said, coast to coast, American refugees are being murdered in record numbers, and none of you bat a fucking eye. BLM doesn't care. The KKK doesn't care. Of course, they're both racist hate groups, aren't they? They're also racist hate groups that talk about taking care of their own, that don't. You don't take care of the predators within your ranks, and you don't take care of the victims within your ranks. You protect the predators within your ranks, and you ostracize, criticize, and try to discredit the victims. Both the KKK and BLM do this. However, they're nothing compared to the United States government. They're run by a bunch of cowards and a bunch of pedophiles, and we've seen that time and again. You want to call that a conspiracy theory? No, this is backed up. Backed up by your own headlines. We all know the media are a bunch of liars. Wait, no, they always tell the truth, apparently, in your mind. When it comes to someone they never allow to defend themselves, to show evidence, never allow to face their accusers. You call somebody mentally ill to discredit them or to try to give them a free ride. I don't get a free ride. Not anything close. They say there's no money. Oh, really? There's plenty of money for making terrorist training facilities to harm the homeless even more. You want to use quote-unquote Hamas terrorists as your excuse? Well, guess what? If they're fighting against the United States here, I'll be against Hamas in Israel, but Hamas here. Do you know why? Because the American people became complacent. These assholes get away with it because you guys already decide whether or not someone is guilty or innocent without ever allowing them a day in court. The police used the media to make me a target. They intentionally lied and misled the situation, the same as Natalie Bollinger and her fucking family did. I'm against the United States government. I am against the city of Spokane, Washington. I am against the city of Tillamook. And especially the police, city, and county governments. That's nasty dinner, but it's better than nothing. Only 15% battery, so I better wrap this video up. You guys know my rules, if you pay any damn attention. I'm not willing to fight a war if I have to kill people. It's just not gonna happen. Destroying infrastructure, for certain I'm down with that. At this point, it should be considered destroying terrorist infrastructure. There is only one part of the Hamas attacks that I'm okay with, and I'm not okay with it happening over there. I would just be okay with it happening here. If Hamas stormed American police stations, they'd be doing us a lot of good. That would be terrorist on terrorist activity. I don't think they would fare as well as they did in Israel. We got too many Americans with fucking guns. God bless the Second Amendment, right? Are most Americans just gonna let Hamas tromp around the United States of America shooting innocent civilians? Oh, fuck no. There's a lot of American men, many American men, who have been dreaming of something like that for years. Hamas ends up over here shooting up police officers. We got two good things going on right there. Because number one, that'll help to signal the end of the old regime, because those officers will be gone and they'll have to start off fresh. The other thing is you'll get to see who it is that carried their Second Amendment and dreamed of that day happening, because you're getting a lot of Americans coming out of their house dressed like Rambo. Americans are a resilient bunch, and do you know why they're such a resilient bunch? Because of them fucking guns. Was it Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s big fucking mouth that finally helped to get some actual rights for black folks? No, it wasn't. It was the antics and tactics of a fellow Nebraskan by the name of Malcolm X and some black folks in California who decided to walk into the, what was it? The State Senate building, I believe is what it was, armed with guns. Turns out that's against the law, and some of them are in prison to this day. Some of them died in prison. Yep. Many people, both black and white, lost their lives in that fight, and you know what? There are many who continue to lose that fight. I am not willing to kill people. I am willing to speak up over and over and over again. I'm also willing to destroy terrorist infrastructure. Am I willing to do that right this moment? Well, I think that my acquired knowledge would be better left shared to others so that anybody can fight back. The problem with Antifa, they don't quite understand the guerrilla warfare tactic of an ambush. What is it that made the IRA so incredibly effective that with such an insignificant number of soldiers, they were able to oust the British Empire? It's called the ambush. It's one of the most effective, if not the most effective military tactic that there is when it comes to actual warfare, when it comes to actually killing people. When you destroy infrastructure, what infrastructure you destroy? Now imagine, depending on the target you go for, you make it better, you may make it worse. You can go for the actual problem, go for the police, and commit crimes against them, shut off the power to their building, slash their tires, things of that nature, as happens in many places, or even setting the vehicles on fire. Many places you get to see that. Lighting trucks on fire. Supply trucks. Go after logistics. You don't have to go after the tanks as long as you go after the ammo depots. As long as you go on the supply trucks. But then what are we talking about? That all gets people killed, doesn't it? Well, not all of it. Now let's talk about, let's say there's a children's cancer center, right? Nobody gives a shit about the nearly 600,000 American refugees out here on the streets, nor the 7.1 million American refugees incarcerated. It's illegal to be a refugee here in America. Refugee denotes that America is not as great as they pretend to be, is not as wonderful as they pretend to be. So they're not refugees here. We call them homeless and say they chose it. Between homelessness and abuse, which one would you choose? It's a good question. For a lot of people, when they've been abused to the point that they have literally had to attempt suicide or pretend to attempt suicide to get someone to fucking listen, for the rest of their lives, they're stuck with that mentally ill tag and nobody will ever care. And it'll eventually lead to them actually killing themselves. Once you have the mentally ill tag, you need a friend or family member who cares or you're fucked. And that's how it is. 81% of those in the United States who were incarcerated were homeless when they were arrested. you are 326 times more likely to be arrested and convicted as a homeless person in Boulder, Colorado than someone in a house. You will not be allowed an honest court date. Your own public pretenders will bully you, threaten you, lie to you, refuse to requisition evidence, refuse to show up to court, refuse to show up to meetings that you're supposed to have. Always with some excuse, but all of those excuses help evidence to slip away. And all of that bullshit costs me. In every single one of these situations, if my public pretenders had actually done their jobs and requisitioned the goddamn evidence, these cops would be in fucking prison. Now we got Spokane. They're pretty famous on the news here for Nazi acts, demolishing and destroying refugees' homes, providing them no place to go. You tell them to go elsewhere. You will pay for them to go elsewhere. But there's nothing from there either, except to be told to go elsewhere, bullied to go elsewhere. And if you don't leave, you have to deal with a lot of abuse and false accusations, false charges, fines. How dare you be broke here? Now that the United States Air Force is fully engaged in committing terrorist acts and building terrorist camps here in the United States for a tyrannic regime that has shown it does not care about its people, and that it is only going to take advantage of the most at risk of its society, that it is going to victim shame and victim blame, and that these terrorists get a free fucking ride. Oh, it's illegal? Not if you have a badge. If you want to diagnose someone as schizophrenic, you got to go to college for that. But not if you have a badge. What happens when you were told by the Nebraska Attorney General's office that you have to go to the Nebraska State Patrol to turn in Scott DaCosta, the sheriff of Dual County, Nebraska, and his deputies? And they make you go back to Scott DaCosta to turn him into himself. Scott DaCosta and his deputies say, well, we can't investigate ourselves. You have to turn it into the Nebraska Attorney General's office, or you need to turn it into the Nebraska State Patrol, right? And all these officers have to do when I go to turn them into themselves is press false charges on me, lie to me, cheat me, threaten, harass, and intimidate me, or any of my friends and family that might be trying to help me. And it's because my friends and family make me go in alone to record everything, including my attempts with them. Now, if a terrorist decided that he'd go after a children's hospital and shut off the electricity and make sure the electricity stays off until somebody does what he wants, would he get that response? The United States government has already shown it's willing to negotiate with terrorists. Of course, negotiating with the United States government is negotiating with terrorists. I'm not willing to target kids. Hamas is, so. Let's hope they learn their lesson. Let's hope this fantasy about enough Hamas in the United States to take over the government good food. But if they did, let's hope that between a hospital and a police station, that Hamas goes to the police station instead of the hospital. Good candy. If Hamas came over here and only targeted police and military personnel, I wouldn't do a goddamn thing to stop them. The moment they target civilians, that's a different story. It's my number one goal in life not to kill anyone, not even on accident. But y'all have shown loud and clear that I'm not a person. You've also shown loud and clear that a man has to be dead for you to hear him, for you to care. Everybody pawns him off on somebody else until he kills himself, sending him to terrorists who only care about pretty white girls between the ages of 18 and 35 who are good looking or are required to cater to women who have children. Yeah, they ain't for us but taking advantage of us. And we give up our entire lives for these women already. But you done hobbled us with this bullshit. The rampant sexism. And the murder of innocent civilians. Meanwhile, what's worse? Being a slave or being dead? I would prefer to fight war and do battle by building, not rockets, not guns, but actually building infrastructure for a better world. And we can't do that while we have terrorist training camps in our own fucking backyards, when our police are armed militants who are allowed to operate on bias against the most at risk of our society. The American people don't support this. And if they do, well, then they deserve every bit of hell that they endure. That's right. If it's only wrong if it happens to you, in your own mind, you deserve it. Yeah. Straight up. If that little black kid is not just as human to you as that little white kid, you're not a human to me. I am all for entirely and completely destroying Hamas. Absolutely. I'm just not down with killing people. Killing people and killing people who kill people and killing people who killed people who killed people. At what point did you show that killing was wrong? At what point did you spend that cash that could have gone to food, water, and shelter for every human being on the planet, and you just can't help yourselves? You're in a position of power, you got a nuke for a dick, God bless America, right? They're going to be using helicopters there, and there's a lot of other equipment that they're going to have there. It's a military style base, so they're probably going to have some pretty intense security. It's also easy to hit that equipment when it's not armed, when it's parked and at rest. One guy told me, he said, you know, it's kind of hard to slip a bomb into a vehicle that's pursuing you. I mean, you could do it, but it would take a lot of work. It also kills somebody, which would get you in a lot of trouble. So, of course, you just blow up their car or light their car on fire. They'll get the point to stop fucking with you, or they'll come hunting for you. But in either case, you haven't killed anybody, and you've only committed infrastructure damage. Meanwhile, the American people shouldn't be allowing people like that to have police cruisers. The cops are worse than the criminals out here. And then, of course, the medical field takes complete advantage of the homeless. Oh, there it is, finally. Now, there's got to be something we can build. Is there something that we can build? Not something that's pretty, but something that is functional. Like, I don't know, an actual fucking refugee camp? Just saying. How many Vietnam veterans willing to stop spouting their bullshit at us and willing to help set the forest? How many of y'all willing to actually protect the rights and lives of the people there? Or are you just going to continue to pretend that you fought for our rights? Dear veterans, there's veterans on the streets too that are refugees in the United States. Political refugees, victims of the war on the poor. Their very war that has deprived us of all of the rights that you supposedly fought for. If you really actually give a shit about the American people, why don't you do something to get us the goddamn Constitution back? How about you do something to help us to establish a refugee camp here in the United States? According to the United States government, there's about 600,000 homeless people in the United States. There's also approximately 7 million of them, over 7 million of them, that are incarcerated. I don't think this video is long enough. I think I was loud enough or annoying enough. I don't think I screamed enough or cursed enough. Because that's the stuff that gets you to actually look and pay attention. You may not hear a word I had to say, but at least you're looking. And maybe little bits and pieces will stick out in your mind. Maybe you'll realize what situation we're in. And I had 2 flies fucking on my speaker just a second ago. Pardon my goddamn French, although it's not real French. Anyway, I gotta go over and meet somebody at the Safeway. I'm hoping I'm not late. I probably am. Let me see. 2:26. No, I got 4 minutes. Good to be radio. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's too, and no victim left behind. If you're going to take out infrastructure, try to do it without killing yourself or anyone at all. And I don't care if you believe in God or not, you should pray for your enemy before yourself. Pray that he not be your enemy. As long as he's your enemy, he might get the drop on you. He might become hateful enough to do horrible things to your family even. Your goal, always, should be to try to make peace.